Tom Hardy, Empath, Narcissist, or something else. Part 6. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As we continue to establish what Tom Hardy is, we now look at his controversies. His drug addiction and the associated legal troubles that came with that were addressed in Part 5. We now look at other instances of potentially problematic behaviour. One of the most publicised controversies that involved Hardy was his feud with co-star Charlize Theron during the filming of Mad Max Fury Road back in 2015. Hardy and Theron, who played Max Rokitansky and Imperator Furiosa, respectively, had a strained relationship during the film's grueling shoot in the Namibian desert. The tension stemmed from their differing acting styles. Hardy's method acting approach, which involved staying in character and being mercurial, clashed with Theron's disciplined, punctual and cerebral approach. A significant altercation occurred when Hardy arrived 3 hours late to set, leaving Theron and the crew waiting in the war rig under harsh desert conditions. Theron, who was a new mother at the time and had a baby nearby, confronted Hardy, reportedly shouting, "Fine the fucking cunt $100,000 for every minute that he's held up this crew," and calling him disrespectful. Hardy responded by charging up to her, which camera operator Mark Golenicht described as quite aggressive, leading Theron to feel threatened and request on-set protection in the form of a female producer, Denise Denovi. However, producer Doug Mitchell barred Denovi from the set, leaving Theron feeling naked and alone. Assistant cameraman Ricky Schamberg called Hardy's lateness deliberately provocative, suggesting he knew it upset Theron. Editor J. Houston Yang noted that Hardy and Theron hated each other, avoiding physical contact or eye contact unless the cameras were rolling. Co-star Nicholas Hoult likened the atmosphere to being on your summer holidays and the adults in the front of the car are arguing, a sentiment Theron echoed, admitting it was horrible. "We should not have done that. We should have been better." In Cal Buchanan's 2022 Blood, Sweat and Chrome, The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road, Hardy acknowledged being in over my head and admitted that Theron perhaps needed a better, perhaps more experienced partner in him. He expressed regret, stating, "I'd like to think that now I'm older and uglier, I could rise to that occasion." The feud reportedly thawed as filming progressed, particularly as the characters' arcs required Max and Furiosa to become allies, with Hardy softening towards her in real life. Would the fact that he was unpunctual be as a consequence of a sense of entitlement and lack of accountability? The fact that he reacted in the way that he did to Theron's criticism be demonstrative of a response to a threat to control and heated ignited fury? The feud reinforced Hardy's reputation as difficult or volatile. This is a narrative that has followed him in media profiles. Hardy faced controversy over remarks about his sexuality in a 2010 interview, followed by a heated response to a reporter in 2015, which fueled speculation and debate about his personal life and public persona. In a 2010 interview with Now magazine, Hardy reportedly said, "Of course, I have experimented with men. I'm an actor for fuck's sake. I've played with everyone and everything. I love the form and the physicality, but now that I'm in my 30s, it doesn't do it for me. I'm done experimenting. But there's plenty of stuff in a relationship with another man, especially gay men, that I need in my life." These comments suggested he'd been physically involved with men in his youth, and these comments went viral, sparking widespread speculation about his sexuality. Might this sexual fluidity be the mark of a narcissist? During a press conference for Legend in 2015, a reporter asked Hardy about his sexuality, referencing the 2010 interview. Hardy reacted sharply, snapping, "What on earth are you on about?" and shutting down the question. Later clarifying in a 2018 Marie Claire interview, "I have never put my penis in a man, I've never had a cock in my arse, and I have no fucking desire for it. If that's what you like, cool, but it doesn't do it for me." His blunt response was seen as defensive and drew criticism for its tone, though some defended it as a reaction to invasive questioning. Was this the response of a private individual, or was it again somebody that felt a threat to his control, notwithstanding the fact that he'd hitherto admitted to gay activity, but deciding now that he didn't want to address that and responded in an aggressive fashion? possibly the response of heated, ignited fury to a provocation. A rumour surfaced that Hardy spat at Armie Hammer during an audition for Mad Max Fury Road, contributing to his reputation for provocative behaviour. According to a 2022 Variety post, during auditions for the role of Max Rokitansky, Hardy allegedly spat at Armie Hammer, who was also auditioning. The specifics of the incident are unclear, and it remains unconfirmed by primary sources. The alleged incident occurred during a period when Hardy was known for his method acting and intense on-set presence, which may have contributed to such behaviour if true. The story, while not widely substantiated, added to the narrative of Hardy as a loose cannon. It doesn't appear to be something that has particular evidence in support, but if this fits with other behaviours as described, there's a possibility that he could have engaged in this behaviour, which is both unpleasant and intrusive. In a 2011 interview while filming the Dark Knight series as Bane, Hardy said, "These movies are huge vehicles to make a lot of money and make a large audience happy. So now you're at the very top level of trying to bring character work in a boutique way to something that is, Starbucks." He further likened working on a big budget film like The Dark Knight Rises or Mad Max to going to work in an airport or a duty-free shop, suggesting a commercialised and personalised experience. The remarks were seen as belittling the work of the cast and crew, particularly given the film's cultural and commercial significance. Fans and media criticised Hardy for appearing ungrateful. Might this be an entitled attitude, belittling the film because it doesn't fit with his arty persona of himself? Hardy later clarified, stating, "I didn't mean it like that. I mean, it could have been British Airways, it could have been Virgin, it could have been Nike, it could have been any huge company." He apologised for the insensitive comparison, noting his emotional investment in his roles and sensitivity to backlash, even admitting to crying over negative feedback. Is that the response of someone genuinely hurt by criticism, or is it just the manipulative response of a narcissist claiming to cry over negative feedback and offering false contrition as a consequence of the criticism that arose from his remarks? In December 2015, Drew McWeeny was scheduled to interview Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, but was left waiting for 4 hours. Frustrated, McWeeny took to X, calling Hardy an arsehole and suggesting he avoid press junkets. Hardy posted an online letter explaining he was unaware anyone was waiting and believed he had completed his interviews. He apologised, but also implied McWeeny wouldn't insult him in person, signing off with "Best regards and thanks for calling me an arsehole a lot. Tommy, 3 kisses." McWeeny denied sending an apologetic email. Hardy referenced and compared him to Donald Trump, calling his response silly. Again, is this reinforcement of a defensive and passive-aggressive response from Hardy, reinforcing a difficult reputation, or was it an honest mistake and a fair reaction as a consequence of being criticised? Hardy has faced ongoing criticism for his use of heavy, sometimes hard-to-understand accents in films, which some critics have mocked or likened to animal sounds. In The Dark Knight Rises in 2012, Hardy's portrayal of Bane with a mask-altered voice and pronounced accent was criticised for being difficult to understand. In Lawless, 2012, critics including the New York Times, A.O. Scott, described Hardy's southern accent as grunts, growls and ribbits, akin to an angry bullfrog, finding it distracting. In Child 44 in 2015, his Russian accent was likened to a demented sea lion by Time Out's Tom Huddleston. In The Revenant of 2015, The Hollywood Reporter noted that Hardy's frontiersman accent was one of several that year where you can't really understand everything he says. Hardy's dedication to accents is part of his method acting, with coaches like Jerome Butler and Don Wadsworth noting his focus on feeling sounds rather than technical precision. While some critics appreciate the depth this adds, others find it detracts from clarity. Is this once again demonstrative of a sense of entitlement to behave in this way? Hardy does have a reputation for being somewhat confrontational and a difficult persona. He has been seen as volatile or difficult. Is this a fair reputation? And if so, does this stem from an innate need for control and responding to threats to control? Or is it simply he is difficult as a consequence of his professionalism and taking what he does very seriously and nothing to do with the need for control? Alternatively, is the reputation not one that has been fairly earned? and therefore causes one to consider a situation which isn't entirely accurate. Well, we've considered some of the downsides to Tom Hardy's behaviour. We're next going to look at his philanthropy in part 7. Join me there.